Good morning. We have some late breaking news as we start our newscast. A major crash just east of downtown on I-35, and it is leading up to a massive backup all the way to I-10. So 35 near Walters is shut down. And Stephen, I understand there is more than one crash in this area first responders are dealing with.
Yeah, that's right, Max. Sarah, people can expect some traffic trouble out here at 35 at New Braunfels. This is the problem spot right now that is causing a whole mess of issues, really a domino effect when we get a look at the map in just a moment. But you see that pavement there, all that pavement is 35. That portion has been closed off as first responders are responding to a crash that happened earlier this morning. Now, again, we are seeing some major issues on the roadways. Let's go ahead and show you that map, because as we get that wide look, not really concerned about anything else, but what we're seeing right in this area on the east side. Now, that crash was picked up off I-35 northbound at Walters, and that stretch of road, again, is closed off as first responders are working to clear this mess up. But a mess is definitely what it's turning out to be. Pushing back, Sarah mentioned that there was a second crash that was reported. I was talking to our friends over at TransGuide. We had a view as traffic was slowing down here off I-35 northbound at Pine. In the midst of that, that's when that second crash occurred. Hopefully that gets cleared out. But some problem spots that drivers can expect right now. Anywhere you're trying to get onto 35 is going to be an issue in this particular spot. 37 going northbound onto 35, driving down over here to I-10 getting onto I-35. And as we push up over here, we see traffic backed up all the way here at I-10 near Fulton Avenue. So it is definitely a disaster right now on the roads. But one person that can attest to that is Jonathan Cotto. He's live out there. Jonathan, definitely looking like a nightmare from this view at TransGuide. What have you been able to find out?
Stephen, that's absolutely right. A nightmare not only for the drivers here stuck in this traffic, but a nightmare certainly for those involved in this crash, which we are learning there could be a potential fatality involved right now. But of course, that information is not confirmed. Taking a look at the scene here right now, major delays on the northbound lanes of I-35 this morning. We're learning that one accident could have potentially caused a second collision here on these main lanes. We see a vehicle overturned on the highway right now. It's unclear how many folks were involved in this crash. It's unclear exactly what led up to this accident or what caused this crash. All that is still under investigation, but we know that a lot of the traffic here on this ramp near Walters was stalled for a significant amount of time. The call for this crash coming in earlier this morning around 8 o'clock. We're hearing big rigs being turned around, the traffic here on the ramp being turned around, and of course, those who were here now transported to a nearby hospital. But again, this crash is under investigation. We'll keep you updated as more information is made available. Reporting live, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. A lot going on in and around San Antonio. We're going to have a lot more throughout the newscast, but right now we are talking about the latest housing price numbers across the country and right here in the Alamo City.
So, of course, they just keep going up.
They keep going up.
As a homeowner, this is a good thing if you're a homeowner, but it also has its, setbacks as well.
If you're looking for a house, it's much tougher.
Yeah, so home prices rose 15% to a median price of $300,000 in February from last year. Sales of existing homes, which include single-family homes, townhomes, and condominiums, were down, however, by 7.2%.
So usually, when price go up, less people are more inclined to buy them, obviously.
Obviously, but we want to talk about locally here in San Antonio. So, according to the National Association of Realtors, San Antonio is one of the top 10 hidden gem housing markets for 2022.
And if you live here, you know it, especially if you're trying to find a house. So despite the fact that home prices in San Antonio are up 20%, yes, 20% year over year, the median home price exceeded $300,000 for the first time ever.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about, hold on, I can't find my page here.
Well, here's the thing that I want to add.
Okay.
People, like they said, hidden gem, not only the hidden gem of Texas, hidden gem of the country. San Antonio outperforming other Texas cities when it comes to the percentage increase of six-figure jobs. And you know why I like this article so much?
Why?
Because they cite KSAT 12 News.
Awesome. Okay, so Zillow home value, if you're anything like me, like anytime I pass a house, I immediately, when I pull over, I remember the address, I look it up on Zillow. And so they're citing the value index for San Antonio as $243,114, which they're saying home values in San Antonio have increased by 20% in just a year. So if you're a homeowner, you know that. I'm seeing it go up and up. And the median listing price of homes in San Antonio is at $275,000. So that locally is a much lower number than that national number.
Right. But it's also important because I know, like myself and a lot of our viewers, they're also renters, especially on the northwest side. We're seeing that expansion significantly, seemingly month to month. So the median rent in San Antonio is about $1,700, I know, for a 3-bedroom home.
It's definitely going up. I do want to highlight this. The most expensive neighborhood to live in, according to this, the Dominion, with a median listing price of $799,000 plus. And then they're saying the most affordable neighborhood in San Antonio to buy a home is in Highland Hills, where the median price is $170,000.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of the Alamo City, let's take a live look out there. Justin Horn giving us a weird look from the corner of the Weather Center.
Was I?
Yeah. Not sure if you were trying to digest the numbers or you're just giving us dirty looks.
No,
not giving you dirty looks.
Happy camper this morning. No, everything's good. Life is good. And we've got clear skies out there. It's beautiful. We've got gusty winds. That is the one problem I can foresee today. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a pretty nice day. Temperatures are a little chilly right now, 50 degrees at the airport. Dew point is at 30, northwesterly winds at about 8 miles per hour. And again, those winds will pick up some. We'll see some gusts, maybe around 20, 25 miles per hour. We'll top out close to 70 this afternoon. So it'll feel pretty nice once we get into the afternoon hours. I will caution you, though, we'll see a bit more cloud cover a little bit later today. Shouldn't be a big issue. Let's look at the numbers. 50 degrees in New Braunfels, 41 Kerrville, 51 Hondo, 54 Pleasanton, 49 right now in Del Rio, 40 in Comfort, 41 Kerrville. It did get down to freezing this morning in Kerrville, but it has since rebounded, and we're going to see those numbers rebound fairly quickly. There are still some wind chills out there, too. We had wind chills earlier in the 30s. Feels like 41 in Kerrville, feels like 40 in Bernie Stage. Pollen count. Mold is at 490. Everything else is fairly low. We've got the tree pollen, our normal list of tree pollen there, but it is all pretty low. We had a tornado last night in New Orleans. We're going to talk more about that. Plus, we're getting the latest tracks, the preliminary tracks on those tornadoes that happened here locally. We're going to get that information to you coming up here in just a few minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. One person is dead this morning after a rollover crash on the north side of the city. It happened around 10 o'clock last night at the intersection of Bassey and McCullough Avenue. And that's where police say a driver crashed and rolled their vehicle into a man riding a bicycle. The bike rider died at the scene. The driver and a child in that vehicle were hurt and taken to the hospital, but are said to be doing okay. At this time, it's still unclear what caused that crash and if the driver will face any charges. And repairs will need to be made at a home overnight after a driver went through a home. So take a look. This was the video. This is the scene around midnight on F Street, the east side of town. A woman in the home saying she was in her bedroom. The driver crashed through the house. She says she was knocked to the ground. Fortunately, not injured. No word on if the driver who crashed in the home will be facing any charges. Right now, a search is on for a trio of robbery suspects. Investigators hope you can help track them down. It happened Sunday. Just take a look at your screen around midnight at a gas station on South Zarzamora. So police tell us these 3 suspects approached 3 men in the parking lot. That's when we're told the suspects allegedly pointed guns at those victims, robbed them allegedly, and then took off with their vehicle. If you have any information about this case, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number on your screen right now, 224 STOP. In your morning headlines, a black box has been found from the plane that crashed in China, but not all the news is good, and the Ukrainian army continues to put up a fight as President Biden heads to Europe. And President Biden's Supreme Court nominee back in front of the Judiciary Committee, ready for more questions, and an Andy Warhol painting worth millions of dollars. David Sears is here to tell us how much in just a bit.
Millions and millions and millions and millions just goes on. So,
yes, the zeros keep happening.
Slap some paint on a canvas and
there you go.
Let's start in China. One of the 2 boxes belonging to the jet that crashed over the weekend has been found. Unfortunately, it's not in very good shape. The casing has been severely damaged. The discovery came 2 days after the China Eastern plane crashed in southern China with 132 people on board. There were no survivors. That black box was so damaged that it was hard to tell if the box was the data recorder or the cockpit voice recorder. They are still looking for the other black box. Those devices contain all kinds of information the investigators can use to determine what caused that crash. President Joe Biden is on his way to Europe to begin a 4-day trip. It'll start in Brussels. He will be joined by other leaders of NATO, the European Union, and the G7. After that meeting, he will head to Poland, the nation taking in millions of refugees, folks trying to get out of Ukraine alive, and Poland expected to ask Biden for more help taking care of those refugees. The Russians continue bombarding cities across Ukraine. Civilians continue to die. They have a stronghold on Mariupol near the coast. However, the Ukrainian army is putting up some serious resistance. They've actually been able to push the Russians out of a suburb of Kyiv, keeping the Russians from completely surrounding the capital city. They've also been able to take back ground in other cities like Kharkiv. There are reports that the Russians have lost 10% of the army that they sent to Ukraine. Today is day 3 for Supreme Court nominee Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to be questioned by senators. Yesterday, during a full day of questioning, several Republican senators tried to portray her as a judge who's soft on crime, especially when it comes to sentencing child pornographers. She also claimed that critical race theory was not being taught in lower grades, lower than college, and it was just an academic theory. Texas Senator Ted Cruz had copies of several books that were used to teach CTR in the school where Judge Brown Jackson happened to be on the school board. She said that CRT, doesn't come up in her work as a judge, though. The Democrats tried to use their questioning time to highlight her empathetic style as a judge and the historic significance of her being the first black woman to be on the Supreme Court if she is confirmed. And how about this? $200 million. Did you hear that? $200 million a painting. That's how much rare Andy Warhol paintings expect to sell for. The print is the 1964 silk screen of Marilyn Monroe called Shots Age Blue Marilyn. If the piece does sell for $200 million, it'll be the most expensive painting of the 20th century ever sold at auction. $200 million for that right there.
So what are you thinking, David? How much are you going to bid for?
I want to know who's walking in front of it, though. There's like, it's hanging up there, and the guy just walked in front of it. How much is it worth?
How much would you bid for it?
All I got is about $50, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I would love to have something like that in my home. I love Andy Warhol. I had this poster in my college dorm room. A lot of girls did, I remember.
I think we know who the bidder is.
Oh, no, I know where.
That poster? You had the poster of Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, that Andy Warhol in my dorm room. It was a popular poster.
In the dorm room?
Yeah. Girls' dorm rooms are very different than boys' dorm rooms.
I just had a few basketball jerseys hanging up.
That makes sense. That adds up.
Like, didn't have one of like some superstar of the day?
No, it was like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Andy Warhol.
Classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
Classy girl.
David Sears, thank you so much. Time now 9:10, 51 degrees out.
Still ahead on GMSA at 9. A look at the damage from that tornado in New Orleans. At least one person is dead after a tornado tore through parts of New Orleans and its suburbs last night, flipping cars and ripping roofs off homes. Parts of St. Bernard Parish, which borders New Orleans to the southeast side, appear to take the brunt of the storm. Rescue workers continue to search through the area for more people in need of assistance. The damage comes after other tornadoes spawned by the same storm system that hit parts of Texas just east of San Antonio here in Oklahoma, killing at least one person and causing multiple injuries and widespread damage.
And Justin, we saw some of that video. Actually, you and Sarah Costa out and about surveying some of that damage. You guys saw some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a bit of damage across Texas. This storm system in general, though, I mean, just incredible. A true spring storm system. And that tornado last night across New Orleans, it was a large wedge tornado, so we expected that we would get some damage like this, and unfortunately, that's exactly what they're dealing with this morning. Very, very unfortunate. And we look at some of the storm reports from yesterday. There was a lot of them. Of course, we had a lot in Texas the day before, but yesterday, 85 reports, 27 tornado reports. Now, some of those are duplicates, but there was a lot across parts of Mississippi, and then you see those tornado reports there around New Orleans. There was also hail and wind reports. So this storm system's still going. It's going towards the East Coast and really has a history with it. There's a little closer look at New Orleans, and you mentioned the east side of the city. That's where that major tornado moved through and then worked its way up north towards Slidell. So a busy day there yesterday. They will get the chance to clean up some. I do need to pass this along, too. This is preliminary, but this is the latest from the National Weather Service, which went out and did some surveying on that damage of that tornado near Kingsbury, near Luling. There's the approximate path right there. So it went from Kingsbury up to about Startown, and it traveled roughly 7.5 miles. It lasted from 5:48 p.m. to 6:08 p.m. So it was on the ground for a little bit. The finalized data will be coming out soon. They're going to do some more there, but it's looking like it's going to be maybe a EF1. We'll see where it plays out, but we do know the damage was there, as we showed you the last couple of days, and that's the latest from the National Weather Service. Let's go outside for you. We've got blue skies. Beautiful morning underway, albeit a little cool. I mean, temperatures did get down into the 40s this morning. We had wind chills in the 30s, 50 degrees right now. Dew point is at 30. Northwesterly winds at about 8 miles per hour. 41 Kerrville, 51 Hondo, 49 in Uvalde, 54 right now in Pleasanton, a little closer in. Some 40s up there from Kerrville to Bandera, but starting to see more 50s here around Bexar County. And then you have those gusty winds. Wind chills earlier were in the 30s. We're seeing some improvement here. Still some wind chills around Kerrville, but I think you'll see these quickly go away here next couple of hours. Here's the forecast wind gusts. As we get towards midday, you'll see those winds somewhere in the range of 5 to 15, some gusts up around 25 possible. We see that into the afternoon too, especially up there in the hill country. And then as we get into tonight, the winds die down some. You'll see less wind, but guess what? As you might imagine, it picks right back up tomorrow. We'll see another gusty day on your Thursday. And so that means there's a fire danger there. With dew points as low as they are, there's going to be a fire danger, I think, tomorrow, Thursday, maybe some improvement over the weekend with a little bit more moisture. That helps. And yeah, we definitely need some rain. This big storm system, by the way, still spinning. We got a big trough across the middle part of the country. It is pushing east, but one little piece of energy is going to rotate through South Texas today. That gives us a little bit of cloud cover. No rain, but clouds for sure. By 4 o'clock, you'll see a little bit of an increase in clouds. And then by tonight, those clouds shift out. And tomorrow we should see quite a bit more sun than today. Here's a look at the forecast. By noontime, 63 degrees. We'll start to see those increasing clouds by the afternoon, up to 70 for a high. And then 68 by 6 p.m. More clouds by 8, 9 o'clock. Temperatures falling into the 60s. There's the extended forecast. We go 76 tomorrow, 84 Friday. Notice the big warm up this weekend, 84 Monday. And by Tuesday, there's a hint at the possibility of maybe some showers and storms returning to the forecast, maybe by the middle part of next week. And we need the rain in the worst way. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for rain, but not severe weather. And that's the tricky part about this time of year, guys.
Thank you, Justin.
Yep. Justin Horn, thank you so much. 9:18, 52 degrees out. All
right, things are buzzing here on GMSA. Literally. Just ahead, a massive beehive removal. You don't want to miss this video. Look, the guy's scooping the bees up with his hands.
Bravest man. Look at that. That's terrifying.
Doing God's work. No, nowhere near. No.
We'll be right back.
I remember so much screaming.
The new horror film, is scaring audiences in theaters, and it's the latest in a series of movies and TV shows from women of Asian descent. Pixar's Turning Red, the upcoming Apple TV Plus series Pachinko, all deal with Asian themes in their own way, something writer-director Iris K. Shim tells me is amazing.
It's really exciting. It's a moment that I've been waiting for all my life. I mean, when I was younger, being able to see myself on screen was impossible. And even when I did see Asian faces, they were mostly Asian movies from Asia. So that experience, those characters were not necessarily some characters that I could directly relate to.
is in theaters now. Looks like West Side Story star Rachel Zegler might end up at the Oscars after all. The Hollywood Reporter saying the actress has now been invited as a presenter and is trying to rearrange her Snow White shooting schedule in London in order to attend. Many were surprised when Zegler answered a fan comment on Instagram over the weekend saying she hadn't been invited to the show, even though she's the star of one of the Best Picture nominees.
Carrie, party of three?
Good news, Sex and the City fans, the journey continues. The revival series, and just like that, renewed for a second season. HBO Max took its time greenlighting season 2. Season 1 ended almost 2 months ago. On Instagram, star and executive producer Sarah Jessica Parker shared a class pic and thanked the audience for their support. And happy birthday to Kerry Russell, the American star turning 46 today, while superstar singer Shaka Khan is 69. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
So getting a nomination for an Academy Award is a big deal, but sharing the recognition with your spouse in the same year deserves twice a celebration. Hollywood has a storied history of married couples being nominated or dually and winning Academy Awards dating back to 1931. So this year, Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem are nominated for an Oscar for their respective works. Both Kristen Dunst and Jesse Plemons are up for an Oscar as well, though the couple aren't married. The last time this happened was more than 50 years ago.
The last time was in 1966 with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, who were both nominated for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, came from the same movie. This is not very often, but it shows where greatness and talent tend to fall in love.
And you can watch the 94th Academy Awards this Sunday night right here on KSAT 12.
All right. Are there any big movies I should know about?
It's going to be, we'll talk after.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll like highlight. I'll highlight which ones you watch and which ones you don't watch. I know Stephen Cavazos can also help us with that list.
Oh yeah, you called him the most, what was you call him? The most glamorous person in the newsroom?
He is the most glamorous, no, in the studio right now.
In the studio, okay. It just hurt because it was literally the three of us in the studio. It's fine. All right, a wall full of bees and honey. It is now cleared out in Pleasanton after being safely removed from a temporary home.
This video is phenomenal. So the bee removal happened in a classroom that used to be used as barracks. So photojournalist Joe Arredondo shows us what it took to rehome thousands of bees.
Every third bite of food, vegetable, fruit that you eat, the honeybee helped produce. They're tearing this building down. And that's how they found the beehive. You give them a little smoky smoke. We're going to take all of this off and expose the beehive. We'll put them give them a new house. And after we give them a new house, we'll take them home with us, and then they can produce honey and help pollinate our fields. Bees. Oh. This is where the honey is starting. So they do have a lot of honey. They're not here to hurt us. Right now, they're just trying to figure out what's happening. They're like, is this giant bear going to eat us? And the answer is no, I'm going to help you out. If you see a honeybee hive and you want it to remove it or to relieve yourself of the nuisance, then you should call someone like us, American Honeybee Protection Agency. You should do that so that we can sustain this life form.
Okay, so I actually follow this woman called Texas Bee Works. She's based outside of Austin.
On Instagram.
On Instagram. She's also really big on TikTok. And her whole thing is she does the same thing. She does bee removal, but people on TikTok were really confused because she scoops them up with her hands, and I love that he did that too. But to do that, you have to be like, a tenured beekeeper. Like, you have to really understand the behavior of bees, and to do that without the protective suit and equipment.
That is said as a warning for anyone out there. Don't just go out there and try to scoop up the bees.
No, but this is also super, super important. Never try to,
remove the bees
yourself or, kill the bees, because our bees are very, very important. Always call. We have several local bee removals in the San Antonio area.
All right. Time now, 9:27, 52 degrees out.
All right, let's go take a look at this accident that Stephen Cavazos and Jonathan Cotto have been following, that I-35 in New Braunfels. We'll have more information on that in our next half hour.
Well, welcome back. We want to get right back to that late breaking news we've been following throughout the morning. A major crash just east of downtown on I-35, and it is leading to a massive backup all the way to I-10.
That's right. Stephen Cavazos has been staying on top of this. So what we know right now is that 35 near Walter still shut down. And Stephen, like you said earlier, their first responders are dealing with more than one crash.
Yeah, we're still looking at the ripple effects following this crash that happened earlier this morning. This is actually part of that. Let's get a look at TransGuide 35 at Pine. Now, this is not where that first crash happened. This is the site of that second crash. And I've been keeping my eyes on this particular shot because what I've noticed is that some of the vehicles that are on here are getting onto that grassy area trying to get off of 35 right now. And these two vehicles here may have been, I believe these were the ones that were involved in that crash earlier. Doesn't look major, but as you can see there is a major slowdown that is happening. And and that is because of the crash that we are seeing right over here off 35 at New Braunfels. Just check out this pavement that we're seeing, that stretch of pavement. That's because that area is shut down right now as first responders are investigating and working to clear this mess up. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the map, because while the wide scope of things, that bird's eye view of the metro area doesn't show slowdowns, we see that slowdown happening as we bring it in off of the 35 northbound. Lots of red in that direction where that first crash happened, right there at Walters, still shut down there. As we drive over here, I-35 northbound at Pine Street is where that second crash occurred. Hopefully we'll be seeing things improving, but we are seeing that slowdown that we talked about earlier. Looks like it's resolving a little bit, but again, as you saw with that TransGuide shot, things have not improved in terms of this scene. It does look like first responders are still working to clear this mess up. Jonathan Cotto's been live out there this morning. Jonathan, did you have any trouble getting to this particular spot?
Good morning, Stephen, and thank you. Right now, we actually did run into a bit of traffic ourselves. We were on the access road for a little over 20 minutes, and that's what folks here are expecting or experiencing as they are diverted onto the access road here on the city's east side off the main lanes of I-35 northbound. But let's take a look at what that scene looks like right now. We have the Traffic Investigation Division on scene, still taking a look into what exactly took place here this morning. We do know San Antonio police responded to the scene here on the main lanes of I-35 northbound around 8 o'clock this morning. Right now, the cause of this crash is still under investigation. We've noticed that part of that investigation is taking them into these brushes off to the right. We're not exactly sure what's there, but we have noticed a lot of police officers taking a look in and around that area. As of right now, we have that one vehicle turned over on the main lanes of I-35 right now, two further down the road, but it's unclear exactly, again, as I mentioned, what's caused this accident. We are expecting San Antonio Police Department's public information officer to arrive here shortly on scene to learn more on the details of this crash this morning. Reporting live from the city's east side, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll stay on top of that accident. So thousands of college hoops fans will be in the Alamo City this week for the men's NCAA tournament.
All right, so San Antonio once again hosting part of the tournament, and there are some high-profile teams coming to town.
That's right. RJ Marquez joins us now to tell us more about what this means to the community and economically. Good morning, RJ.
Yeah, good morning, guys. It is big. Yeah, definitely big, and especially because we have a great lineup of teams coming into town. And one of the biggest things is that we are actually going to have fans in the stands again. Remember, last year, guys, we hosted the women's tournament under strict COVID protocols and limited fan capacity. That is not the case this year. So Jenny Carnes with the San Antonio Local Organizing Committee, she basically said that no COVID protocols are following the state of Texas mandates. So no mask or anything of that nature are going to be needed if you head out into these games this weekend here at the AT&T Center. Now, of course, Jenny did say that, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and wear a mask if you need to. That's perfectly fine as well. So guys, we were talking about sort of the economic impact of this. This is going to be pretty big stuff here. So over the next 3 days or next few days or so, we're looking at a projected $10 million in economic impact. And this is also going to be big businesses for local restaurants and hotels as well. It's a nice little boost to their economy there. It's looking at more than 15,000 rooms that are being filled. So it's not going to be like Final Four numbers that we've seen in the past, but these are still pretty great numbers to coming out of this pandemic.
All right, so remember from the Final Four a few years back, it was so cool. We had all these events. Now, I know this is going to sound ridiculous. Is San Antonio getting more and more exposure to the tournament? Like, does this put us in a better light for hosting future Final Fours or even championships?
Well, that's one thing that San Antonio sports has done a great job of doing, working with city and also the NCAA committees to really kind of bring San Antonio to light. And look, the bottom line is they always say that San Antonio is the best city for this, no matter what, because of the weather we have, the proximity of downtown. Now, what's going to be interesting about this, Max, is that this is going to be at the AT&T Center, so a little bit different than the past, but still, they're expecting a lot of people to be here in downtown and a lot of tourist dollars to be spent in that area as well with restaurants and stuff. But yeah, definitely, I mean, looking ahead here, we're still going to host the men's 2025 Final Four in a few years. So San Antonio is still in the mix for a lot of this stuff. And people may be wondering, well, why the AT&T Center this year?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
Yeah, and it's because the NCAA recently, they made a change to their policy where they basically said that they didn't want any more preliminary rounds to be played in larger stadiums or dome stadiums. So that's why you're seeing all these first round games, this regional tournament to be played at the AT&T Center. They wanted more into like intimate settings and NBA arenas.
I think it's funny that because I walk into the AT&T Center and I think it's just so big, but it's considered an intimate setting because you forget how massive the Alamo Dome is.
Compared to the Dome, and after covering the Final Four here in 2018, I mean, it is a big difference. But still, the Dome is going to be fine. People are wondering, like, well, why not the Dome? Why, why are they switching things around? It's not that; it's that the NCAA switched its policy around this year. And no, as we just mentioned, the Dome's still going to have.
It's them.
No, the Dome's still going to have 2025. The men's Final Four is still coming to town. They, of course, had the women's Final Four here last year as well. So it's going to be pretty exciting here, too.
Are we expecting sellout crowds?
They are expecting sellout crowds, yes. Now, tickets are still on sale if you go to the NCAA Ticket Exchange site. They wanted to make that clear. They don't want you to kind of get, maybe scammed with some, other ticket vendors, things of that nature. But yeah, go to the NCAA Ticket site. Still selling tickets, and they do expect sellouts Thursday because really, as we mentioned, the lineup of this team is great. Talking about the proximity of Houston, the Cougars are going to be here. Shout out JP Barajas there. Big Houston.
I was going to say, that's Barajas' team right there.
I know he's excited about that. Arizona, a well-known, a storied program in college hoops, and we also have a rematch of the 2018 Men's Final Four championship game. That's between Michigan and Villanova. Max, are you a Villanova guy?
I do have them in the championship game. I got a question. I'm going to put you on the hot seat. How's your bracket looking?
Bracket's not looking great, but at least I still have Kansas is my pick to win the championship, so Kansas still in it. I have Purdue going to the Final Four, so those are my two shots here. Yeah.
All right, RJ. Well, hey, we want you to stick around because we're talking about Fiesta right now.
Oh, yes.
So can
March
you guys
Madness and Fiesta.
believe
what else do you need?
In 8 days, Fiesta kicks off. I cannot believe it is already here. And this is going to be the return for the first time in person since 2019. I cannot believe it's finally here. I'm so excited for this 11-day party. And
we got a lot of parades to talk about.
Yeah, KSAT 12. You're going to be seeing all these parades live on KSAT 12 and on KSAT.com, and of course our free app KSAT Plus.
And there is a lot that you need to know about, like we talked about it in the newsroom a lot this morning. They're changing the parade route.
Yeah, so I didn't understand this, but they were saying it's because of the construction on Broadway.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anyone's taking a trip down Broadway, they're just like constantly working on this day in, day out. So yeah, they are changing things up. It's going to be near Crockett Park now. So that's going to be all important to know as you get ready for your Fiesta planning and Fiesta ready to go. But we also are going to have all these parades live, on air, Battle of Flowers, Flambeau, the night parade. We're also going to have the porch parade as well. That's going to be something that we're going to air here coming up pretty soon. I did a couple of historical pieces for that.
So I know Mark and Steph.
Yeah.
They got all their stuff together last night for it. So Porch Parade airs this Friday at 7 p.m. right here on KSAT12.com, and then plus on all of our platforms. Thank you. But I want to go back to that parade route because it's a massive change. If you've been to the parades, you have your spot, so your spot may not be the same. So it starts on Main Street near San Antonio College, and then it heads south toward Crockett Park. You mentioned that. But then it turns onto Lexington and goes by Madison Square Park, actually right here by our station, and then it turns on St. Mary's, down Brooklyn, and then, of course, down to Houston Street and ends near Alamo Plaza.
Now, if you have any questions, obviously, KSAT.com, we have an extensive article. I know that us verbalizing it to you is probably fantastic, but we have a full map, everything you need to
see the visual, because Mike Osterhage was explaining to me. I had to look.
I think people still are going to be extremely excited about this. It's been 2 years since we've had a Fiesta. And I also want to give us a quick plug here. I do host KSAT News Now. This is our streaming show. No, this is not the plug for KSAT.
11 o'clock, Facebook, what?
Yeah, there we go. 11 o'clock. Check that out today. But myself and my co-host for that, Alicia Barreda, we're going to be doing the King William Fair. So we're going to be hosting that, emceeing that on April 9th. And that's going to be live streamed. So yeah, the King William Fair Parade. Check that out as well. So we just got a lot of stuff coming up.
We have a lot, but I think our viewers also need to know, because this is new. So the Battle of Flowers and the King William Parade, they start early this year. They start at 9 o'clock this morning. I mean, not this morning.
In the morning, not this morning.
But I saw that and I was like, 9 in the morning?
Yeah.
They usually start around 10 or 10:30.
Yeah, I think, and maybe Justin can clear this up, but I think it's to try and beat some of the heat that you're going to get? Because remember, there had been some Battle of Flowers where it's been really hot, like at noon, and people have been out there.
2019, I was out there, and sunscreen, big hat. It was very, very hot.
Need the big hat. All right, RJ Marquez, thank you so much. And you teed up our own Justin Horn. We're going to take a live look out there. So, Justin, is it to beat the heat?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this time of year, these temperatures are getting to the 80s pretty quick. So I think that's a great idea. And kind of what I took from you guys talking about the parade route is that maybe the food vendors will be just a little bit closer to KSAT. So
I'm actually excited about being so close to KSAT.
Ooh, the smells. Love me some Fiesta. Yeah, hopefully the weather cooperates and we can get some decent temperatures with it being in that time of the morning. Let's look at the big picture here across the state. And you can see we've got some snow out there in the higher elevations out around El Paso. That is that storm system rotating through Texas, or sort of the back end of it. We're not getting any rain today, but we will get some added cloud cover, I think, as we get into the afternoon. Current temperatures, it's pretty chilly in a lot of spots. 39 Midland, 39 Lubbock, 50 Waco, 50 in San Antonio. We will get close to 70 today, but we did get off to a cool start. And with that north wind, it just kind of feels chilly out there. Also want to pass along, there's a fire risk today, especially west of San Antonio. The bigger risk is going to be up there in the Permian Basin. But I think if we get some gusty winds this afternoon, which we will, and some dry air, there's still that threat there. It feels like it's been there for the better part of a week. We'll also see a fire threat coming up tomorrow. Here's the forecast. By noontime, 63 degrees, partly cloudy skies. And then by the afternoon, close to 70. Winds will be in the 5 to 50 mile per hour range, but we'll see some gusts 20 to 25. Some cloud cover overnight, and then some chilly temperatures by tomorrow morning. We're dropping down to 40 by tomorrow morning, guys.
Well, it's a parent's worst nightmare. On their way home from school, two 12-year-old boys are attacked by a stranger who shoots at them and then tries to hit one of them with his car.
But even worse, their families tell our Dylan Collier that after a failed search for the suspect, the person responsible, local law enforcement isn't talking, leaving them and their frightened children in the dark.
Parents of the 12-year-olds who were shot at have described it as a severe lack of action by the Lacoste Police Department, investigating a crime that literally took place a stone's throw away from its headquarters. March 8th, what should have been a short walk home past Valverde Street and Ney Avenue became a harrowing experience for Heather Brummage's son and another middle schooler. A man driving a black Dodge Durango pulled up near them.
Slow enough that they were making eye contact with walking pace.
Moments later, he parked at this house, exited the SUV, and pulled out a handgun.
My child heard him cock the gun and told the other child to run.
As the boys scattered, they heard the sounds of a shot being fired and a bullet whizzing by their heads.
Your son's in distress 20 miles away and you can't get there to him.
Hank C's child, the other boy involved, called him while trying to get to safety.
He was extremely upset, telling me that he'd just been shot at. So I was trying to ask him, where are you? Where yet? And then all of a sudden he started screaming, saying, he's trying to run me over, Dad. Help me, help me. And he's running.
The boys hid and were eventually able to get inside a home. The next day, Lacoste police and Medina County Sheriff's deputies stormed the property where it all began and rushed two people out of the home. But even though the Durango was still parked out front, the accused shooter was apparently not there.
This is when I'm waiting for the cops to come.
Brummage says in the days since, she's faced one obstacle after another, trying to get information from the police, like why the public hasn't been told there's a shooter on the loose, or why officers haven't taken an official statement from the boys about what happened to them.
I don't believe by any standard that a proper investigation has been conducted. It seems to me that it has not been given the serious attention it deserved.
No formal police interview.
None. Zero.
Lacoste Police Chief Johnny Kendricks, seen here on social media being introduced as the head of the department, declined to speak with the defenders on camera, telling us he was told not to talk about the case. He did say the boys' version of events was documented on department cameras. But for C, the anxiety for him and his family is palpable.
And I wish the chief would see it from our point of view, because he's got kids. If this was one of his kids out here being shot at, I think the guy would have been caught already.
For the defenders, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
And Kendricks referred our questions about what charges that shooter may face to the Medina County District Attorney Mark Habe.
So in a written statement, Habe told the defenders, quote, "This is still a pending investigation. I have not yet received a file or any documents whatsoever from the agency investigating the case. Accordingly, a charging decision has not yet been made," end quote. You can read more about this story on KSAT.com.
All right, now shifting to weather, 55 degrees. We saw as cold as 45 this morning, Justin, but we are spring in San Antonio.
Yeah, it'll rebound back pretty quickly this afternoon. It's not going to be a hot day by any stretch of the imagination, but we should see some 70s on the map. One thing we do need for sure is rainfall. We did not get much here in town with this last system. It was all east of us, and as you look back at the month of March, there hasn't been a whole lot of days in which we've seen some rain, and when we did see rain, it wasn't much. About 0.2 of an inch here a couple days ago, 0.02 of an inch back on the 11th, and we've projected out that we're going to stay dry through the 28th. We feel pretty confident about that. So the month of March is going to end, I'm afraid, on a dry note. For the month, we've got 1/4 of an inch of rain. That's it. That's about 1.37 inches below average. And we should also point out that San Antonio International Airport has only received 4.5 inches since October 28th of last year. So we are looking at some very, very dry conditions. And here's the bad news, not to pile on, but as we look at the seasonal rain outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for April, May, and June, they have us at looking at below average rainfall. It's pretty typical of a La Nina pattern where we see dry conditions. Now, one thing that's kind of counterintuitive there during a La Nina pattern is that, yes, we see less rain, but you tend to see a little bit more severe weather across the plains and across the southeast. So that's just something to watch. Those are just trends. And as we know here in South Texas, that we can go a couple of months without any rain, and then all it takes is one event where we get flooding, and then we're back to average. We'll see where it goes, but just a 20% chance of rain is all we have in the forecast right now, and that's Tuesday next week. It'll probably be more so middle part of next week, so that'll be our next rain chance. As we look outside, just a few clouds right now. 54 Stinson, 51 Kelly. We're at 52 Randolph. Seeing some winds there in the 5 to 15 mile per hour range. A few gusts higher than that. Still in the 40s, junction at Kerrville. Kerrville did get down to freezing this morning. Only spot we saw there on the map. Everyone else was above that mark, but starting to see temperatures warm up. 52 Bernie Stage, 50 Canyon Lake, 50 in New Braunfels, 55 right now at Castroville. In the forecast winds, we'll see some breezy winds this morning. This is around noontime, shows 5 to 15. Again, some gusts 20, maybe 25. It'll be kind of off and on. And I think winds will actually be a little stronger tomorrow. We do not lose the winds, probably not until Friday. Do those winds actually kind of calm down during the daytime. Here's our forecast temperature, 63 noontime. Here in San Antonio, we're up around 70 by 4 o'clock. 66 in Bernie, 66 in Kerrville. That's it. So kind of a mild to cool day in the hill country. 72 Pleasanton, 70 in Pearsall. And the forecast temperatures by tomorrow morning, we're back near 40. So it'll be another chilly start on your Thursday. Some 30s will probably be on the map as well. Dew points stay low through Friday. It's not until the weekend we see a rise, a little bit more moisture. So in the meantime, we do have fire danger for a lot of spots. And very quickly, some clouds coming through today, some off and on cloud cover, even some clouds tonight. Tomorrow will be quite a bit more sunny with some temperatures starting to warm up here. 76 Thursday, 84 Friday, mid-80s this weekend, and then mid-80s next week with that chance of rain. We'll be right back.
Just taking a quick look at TransGuide before we leave. That crash still happening at 35 and